Yeah, exactly. We're gonna do a little bit of a Ukraine update. Talk about some stuff. Okay, so here's sort of the summary that I talked about before things went live. I know this is typically a Tarkov stream, and not. So we know BSG, the developers of Tarkov, are a Russian-based company. Obviously, a person is not their government. I understand that. But at the end of the day, sales or pre-orders of Tarkov, that money does end up repatriated to Russia, and it's probably taxed as income or taxed, and those tax dollars go to fund, among other things, Russian military operations. And I think there's not much we can do. So, but this is something, right? And also, if you were in my previous Tarkov streams, you know that I've gotten beaten up pretty bad, even by scavs. And, can't hurt to look at some other games out there, or just take a stream or two where I'm just chatting around. Yeah. So anyway, Ukraine update, right? What I wanted to do, so I've had a few friends in my personal life who have gone down what's the word I want? This is World War III hype train. It's not. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that this is not the start of World War III. And I worry a little bit about the hype, not the hype. So, okay, I'll share my thesis. I have a thesis that because of the other major health event that the whole globe has been going through for the past 2 years, is that people have developed a sense that the things they see on the news are like a preview of coming attractions. And while that's certainly true of the big C, the C-19, because of its nature as, well, virulent, it's a virus, literally, a variant in one place is going to come to you, and it's going to come to your hometown. And I think, and it can feel, right, it feels really real because we live in an era of social media where almost everything that's happening is getting pushed, right? Like, again, past 2 years, the number, for example, let's say people in an ICU, it wasn't just a number, it was real. It felt really real because there were nurses making Snapchats and exactly, Ram. Yeah, exactly. And this is sort of what I'm trying to explain to the I'm trying to break that down, but this is the short version of it. But I think people feel that way because they see things on television, and it feels really real because of so much content that's made about it. And it's tough. It's tough to see this. It's tough to see the level of personal experiences, personal stuff, personal level content being created, video and media that's being created about this conflict. It can feel like it's happening in real time, especially in this day and age where you can log into your Instagram and you can get clips of Russian jets bombing people right next to clips of your friends at their parties. And, I think people forget that prior to 2 years ago, often things on the news would not become events that you had to worry about. I mean, even things like World War II, it was not an actual conflict in the United States, except for a couple of light engagements in Alaska and somewhat on the coast of California and stuff. Yeah, and I think it's really important. But I think that it's important to understand that, at the end of the day, Putin and the Russian military, they don't appear to be able to effectively defeat the Ukrainian military. So the chances that another military would need to get involved in a global scale is almost nil. And emotionally, these things can feel really proximate. I can tell you that, I've taken a couple days off, and on Sunday, I had like a news diet, right? I didn't make anything, any content or look at anything related to it because, some of that stuff kind of hits home. And yeah, it's a really, for me, it's a really intimate look at the sort of pervasive threat that you live under in a war zone. Um, and I like it emotionally can feel really close. And I think that's what the fear people are irrationally getting. I mean, I had a buddy be like, "Do I need to go get a gun?" And I'm like, "Are you stupid? Most of the Ukrainians don't need to go get a gun. Like, even within their own country, yes, large population centers are under threat, but not even all regions of the country are on a war footing." Um, so yeah, people need to calm down. The news needs to calm down a little bit. I think, um, yeah, the news needs to calm down. People need to calm down. I think also I have a problem, opulent dog, kind of to your point. Um, I think that the uh, I I hate, and I hate's too strong a word. I strongly dislike the sort of cavalier, the people who are treating this like a movie. And Zelensky it's almost like he's a victim of his own success a little bit. Like he's done a unbelievable job at mobilizing regular people, mobilizing the citizenry of every developed country to do something to support Ukraine in a way, and that is a testament to the fact that this guy is a trained actor. He's brilliant at connecting with people. But I think the disadvantage is that, or a side effect rather, I think a annoying side effect is that people are treating war as an aesthetic, as a game. They're making it about them, and I'm sort of guilty of it too. Like I said, I don't put military content on the screen. I'm not going to react to videos. I'm trying not to do live coverage. I understand that. Yeah, Zelensky is the president. Yeah. And yeah, he's great, and he's using the things that he is the best at to maximize his country. And like, yeah, he absolutely is showing up too. Like, at the end of the day, there's he could have pulled an Ashraf Ghani and dipped right out of the country. Absolutely could have happened, but he didn't. And he deserves like that's moral character. But moral character alone cannot win a war, and it can't lead a country. And so I think he's doing a good job of using the skills he has to connect with the Ukrainian people and with citizens abroad, especially the way he can appeal in a pretty direct way to them. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know how I feel about making content about this because on one hand, I understand I have actual knowledge, actual expertise in some narrow domains. And I talked a little bit about it on the Patreon video today. If you guys want to understand Ukraine, actually, there's 3 great books I will recommend. Okay, yeah, if you want to understand this war a little better, first is going to be The Great Gamble, The Soviet War in Afghanistan by Gregory Pfeiffer. This is uses a lot of soldiers' personal stories, sort of interspersed with the larger tactical changes in the conflict, and it helps you understand how the Soviet and therefore Russian military culture fights a war. It's very top down. It's very strategic. or rather, it's very top down. Control is centralized at the like what we call flag grade officer level. There's very few decisions for junior officers to make. There are very few decisions even for mid-level officers to make, and almost none for a private or an NCO. In contrast, by the way, the flintlocks are wood carvings. They were a gift from my old unit when I left. I think actually my old first sergeant like paid for it out of pocket because no one else in my unit got me anything, right? It was one of those things where it's sort of like no one gets, if your mom buys everyone birthday presents, no one buys your mom a birthday present. People like didn't really realize. So anyway, so it talks about the Soviet way of war and helps you understand why they might be making the decisions they are, and what decisions they might make next. Even better to understand it is One Soldier's War by Arkady Babchenko. He fought in the first and second Chechen wars, the first time as a conscript and the second time as a contract soldier, a sort of contract mercenary. And this is a really good look also at how Russian conscripts are treated, the individual experiences, the apathy of their command structure and their officers, and the cultural norms in the Russian military that is so vastly different from the US. And I say this as someone who sometimes got pretty salty about the state of US soldiers, but like a soldier would never have sold his rifle or ammunition to an Afghan, especially not for liquor or heroin. That would be like a Tuesday in the Chechen War. And vodka and heroin gave way eventually to bread because the supply lines were so terrible that soldiers were starving, were getting lice. It's crazy. And the best book, though the hardest to read that I would say, is probably Putin's War Against Ukraine by, there you go, Taras Kuzio, who is actually published in association with the chair of the Ukrainian Studies at the University of Toronto. So this is just a great summary of everything basically up until I think the author stopped in around 2016 or 17. And he broke down Russia's and Putin's kind of grand plan for Ukraine, the sense of the sense of entitlement that Russia has over Ukraine and Ukrainian people, the propaganda effort inside Russia to create a unified Russian-speaking people's, greater republic, for lack of a better term. And I think it's a really good insight into, if not what Putin's thinking, what Putin is projecting to the Russian people as his justification for this. And, the truth is that, so I don't know, they are 3 great books if you want to help understand the conflict on a deeper, more holistic level. And anyway, all this to say, Putin's grand plan, which has sort of started to leak a little bit. There was a discussion on, I believe it was an article that leaked very briefly from Sputnik, of Russian government news source, about, let's see, article leak about Putin's desire to unify the greater Russia, he called it, I believe is how they talked about it. Yeah, it's let's see if we can find it in news. Ba 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 da ba. Yeah. No, okay, I can't really see it. All right. Let's see, an invasion plan? No. Nope. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It was a brief leak. And yeah, it was a brief leak that was posted that talked about praising Putin. It was basically a victory article that was supposed to be released. And it praised Putin for unifying all Russian-speaking peoples, correcting a historic injustice by separating Russian speakers into Ukraine, Moldova, Belarus, and generally just he then that was everything this guy Taras talks about. That's called the Ruski Mir, right? The Russian people. So yep, there you go. Anyway, basic combat medic, I guess, for Ukrainians who want to come back to Ukraine and fight. What is my opinion? You know, I am always a skeptic of well-meaning people thrusting themselves into a conflict that they may not fully grasp. Okay, Avon, so probably like the Russian-speaking world is probably what it refers to. Yeah, so do I think that it's a good idea? Yes or no. It depends on whether or not the Ukraine government, like, here's the thing. You need to have a unified strategy, and you need to have everyone sort of rowing together. And the Ukraine government has a strategy in place. They have a plan. They are the ones who are, their plan is working, whatever it is. It seems to be effective for the time being. And they will, you know, they have a National Guard. They have a territorial defense reserve. They have a training capability. And so, you know, they've said they are open to foreign volunteers. The little bit I said was that you should contact your country's Ukrainian defense attaché at their embassy to talk about how to, if you're eligible to volunteer. I don't know how Poles training a random cross-border militia, it can easily backfire, right? This whole thing can easily backfire. You know, it's worth noting that you know, Ukraine are obviously, Ukrainians and Ukraine, the state, are obviously the victim here. They're defending their territory from an invader, no doubt about it. But Ukraine had a large problem with ultra right-wing militia in their military, the Azov battalion being the most prominent example. And at the end of the day, the Azov battalion and a number of other ultra right-wing groups, we'll say, the ultra right is the nicest term. I think there's another word that it might put me over the line, but you guys know who I'm talking about. So the you know, these guys, they are also getting organized. They're gaining combat experience. They are gaining weapons. Foreign volunteers, as we saw in Afghanistan in the 80s, those foreign volunteers, those networks can be very strong and long lasting. And if you're a foreign volunteer, Ram, absolutely. You're absolutely right. This is not like I'm not arguing that they are pervasive, not arguing that they represent the regular Ukrainians. I'm just saying that they exist in the same way that extremists exist in every country, and that often, historically, there's some precedent that large-scale conflicts that accompany a big influx of weapons can sometimes supercharge extremist groups, and especially conflicts where there's an influx of foreign volunteers. Those can create really strong networks. This is how UBL grew his network. And, you know, he spent 20 years between Afghanistan and 9/11 developing his network, growing it, making it more dangerous and more effective. And it's it's a non-petty consideration. That's what I'll say. It is a non-zero consideration. So Luke Blitz, you think they're gonna pull a Custodes? You think the Emperor is going to they're gonna pull a oh my gosh, what do they call it? What do they call it? Battle of Mount Ararat? The from Warhammer 40K. Yeah, Thunder Warriors. There you go. That's who I'm talking about. Okay, so do you guys have recommendations for another game that you'd maybe like to see me play? I think about like a turn-based strategy game. Can the Russian army forage for food locally? I'm surprised there aren't more reports of it. Honestly, I'm actually pretty surprised. I really assume that they would. Ooh, we could play some DayZ. Or I don't even know if I have DayZ. Ooh, StarCraft 2 is free? Hmm. Total War, Enlisted. Let's see. I wonder, I mean, is what's it called? Is let's see what's big on Twitch, right? Obviously just chit-chatting. So, no worries there. Yeah, Continuum. Yeah, you raise a good point. This is the quandary that historic armies have gotten into, is that it's hard to forage. I mean, you have to think how much food you alone eat in a day. But now imagine if you had to feed 100 people with the food you have in your house. They all would barely eat, right? And then multiply that to 80,000, 100,000 people. It's a city's worth. So it's really hard to forage for food. If your army is down to foraging, also every hour you spend foraging is an hour you're not fighting, and you need your combat troops to focus on either fighting or preparing to fight. That's right, Winterman. They do need the output. The combat output for a soldier is in combat operations is about 4,500 calories, depending on the intensity of the combat. So that's kind of their need. So yeah, you can do the math that they need quite a bit to sustain those operations. Opulent Dog, a Mad Max themed restaurant in Philly. You mean the entire city of Philadelphia, right? Afghanistan 11 would be a wild game. That was a wild time, dude. I thought about that Afghanistan would make a great like role-based MMO, just because at the time there was just so many people just running around the country. Like you really would just like see the most banana shit, and there were just too many factions. Taliban, armed militia, Afghan military, Afghan police, random U.S. justice units, special ops guys, grunts. Yeah, just a lot. Oh, well, the foraging lambda. I mean, foraging in nature. Good luck. I mean, foraging like breaking into civilian houses and stealing food. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. I could do some DayZ. How many people? Do people still watch DayZ? Is that still a thing people do? No matter what, I'll have to install it, which is its own, which is its own issue. Oh, there's also Diablo 2. Afghanistan 11 is just Arma. Yeah, right. Oh, I don't need to look up the war in Syria, man. The war in Syria seemed also bananas and awful. Have I considered MechWarrior Online? Yeah. Yeah, totally. I love MechWarrior Online. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got in my Steam library. I don't know. You guys want to? We could do some DayZ. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know about. Let's see. Interesting that using Arma. I've heard that. I've heard somebody used Arma footage to illustrate the Ghost of Tarkov or Ghost. Oh my God, Ghost of Kiev, Ghost of Tarkov. God, my brain melting. Um, yeah, I was just looking at games I had already purchased that I already have. We could do Fallout New Vegas. We could do Path of Exile. Um, we could do Diablo 2, though I don't really want to log into that. Um, hmm. New Vegas. Okay. Okay. We could do Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, I'm not going to do Digital Combat Simulator. I have another friend who's a huge Digital Combat Simulator fan. The Afghan 11 mod in Mountain Brilliant. Okay. All right. You know what? There's a pretty sounds like there's a pretty big desire for Fallout New Vegas. Let's put it in here. Let's do it. I mean, I got to install it, so I don't even know how long this will take, but you know, it's from 2010, so how bad can it be? Oh God, you're like Fallout from scratch. Oh no, I have to install stability mods. Oh God, how many can I get the mods on Steam? I'm already worried. There's a lot of DLC. I can't get them on Steam, so I have to download a bunch of mods. Oh, okay. Well, I can't do that live. Nexus Vortex. Yeah, I can't do that on stream. Let's see. I should have really downloaded more games. I guess I could also do Team Fortress 2. Um, just play Minecraft. Yeah, right. Uh, oh, Minecraft. I did just do a reaction to like a dream video. New Vegas should still run. This kills me that it's like one of the best games in history, and people are still like, well, it may run. It may run. I'm just like, damn, this is a testament to how good the actual storytelling is, that it can overcome Bethesda. Okay. So do I so what was interesting that I've seen recently. Part two of the Potato War. I have. I absolutely have, and the Potato War is weird. Um, so weird, so very very weird. Um, yeah. Though also, well, dude, I mean, you saw the Potato War. That's what the Potato War is. It's an economics question. It's an economic war. It's industrial base outproducing your opponent, right? Overwatch and TF2 rap battles. Interesting. Interesting. So, okay. Do you guys have other Ukraine questions? Since that is the chat, right? You have my expertise, and I am downloading. I'm just gonna do Daisy. I feel like some survival nonsense. Yeah, I may install New Vegas just to just to do it, but later, like not on stream, not live. Yeah, it is crazy just to see the breakdown. How many people are into just chatting? Actually, though, Elden Ring and just chatting are like neck and neck. Um, oh man, there's Hassan just watching the news. Uh, yeah, that's who I don't want to be. That's who I really don't want to be. Um, just I get it. Like viewers want something. Compared to the logistics of the U.S. Russian army with the early Iraq War U.S. army, is that a fair comparison? No, not even close. The U.S. Really, really did worked hard to maintain its logistical tail. Um, it was able to outrun. It was able to keep up with its supplies so much better. Its military was so much more committed to doing the right thing, much more integrity. And I mean literally, like troops were staying in their units, abandoning entire vehicles is unbelievable. I had never heard of a soldier doing that, other than even look at the guy, the Bradley story from Mike Burnfire from Zach. Even in that instance, that one lone soldier didn't ditch his Bradley, right? Despite being like over concussed, right? Knowing full well he was driving a giant target, and he still was just like, we are going to push right on. Dude deserves some serious credit. So yeah, to me, that's kind of the story there. Just the difference, right? I mean, the things we're seeing these Russians do right now are unthinkable by U.S. standards. Would never happen. Would be unthinkable to a U.S. soldier. The protocol for ditching vehicles. So the protocol for ditching vehicles in the military is that you recover your vehicles if at all possible, right? And if you could, if you can't, right, here's what you do. You can't recover a vehicle. What you do is you go in, you take out every what's called a sensitive item. And these are items that are deemed essential to the security of military operations. They're usually things like weapons, communication devices, navigational devices, and other things that can hold intelligence. And so you take all those and you secure them and you get them out, and then you destroy that vehicle as best you can. And yeah, you that's what you do. You take out that vehicle and you do your best to like destroy it, usually with a hellfire. You can also use thermite in the engine, but your goal is just make it as unrecoverable as possible. So the fact that there are Ukrainian citizens just like driving Russian tanks around, having put a couple cans of diesel in them, is bananas. So, okay, let's see. Concerned about calls to establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine. What's interesting is Ukraine, I'm not sure they will set up a no-fly zone. Usually it's a little one side, like usually it's because one side, it's more like don't try anything. But if you declare a no-fly zone, while the enemy's air force is flying, it's a different story, and it's pretty problematic, right? Like, you have to shoot down their planes then, and that is an act of war. So I don't think that'll happen. I think you're much more likely to end up with in a situation where the Ukraine air defenses keep getting more and more supplies, and the Russian Air Force keeps getting ground down more and more. I think you may see the Ukraine Air Force run out of planes before Russia does, but I don't think they're going to run out of anti-aircraft weapons. So I think Russian fighters will maintain in their airspace. I was reading that it seems like Russia only has a relatively small number of fighter aircraft in the fields right now. Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Let's do some DayZ. And it's not clear on why that is. There we go. Can you guys see me all right? Yeah, Ukrainian Air Force may end up just taking Russian. They may end up getting some Russian air defense systems. Right. It would be so. It just makes more sense to try to give the Ukrainians the resources they need to build their own no-fly. You know.
Wait a minute.